fans, brews, and Broncos news. What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome to Bourbon, Broncos No BS Postgame Podcast. My name's Kevin. I got a very special guest, Scott the Flagman, who's going to be joining me tonight, breaking down the Broncos' beautiful win over the Las Vegas Raiders for the first time in 9 games. The Broncos were able to put that foe behind them and come away with a big win, 3 in a row, and putting them 3-2 on the season. So lots to talk about, some good, some bad, some ugly, and bottom line, Broncos big win. Can't complain too much. So Scott, man, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Dude, after 4 years of losing to those clowns, I am doing I'm ecstatic, and I'm so excited for where this team is going. I mean, there are so many positives to take out of this game, and there's always negatives. I mean, we could have scored more points, we could have built some more yardage, we could have hit a long pass, but you know what? We won the game, and it wasn't even close.
No,
and
no, it really was.
I'm feeling good. I was very confident going into the whole thing. I thought it would not be that close of a game, and I was a little worried in the first quarter. But thanks to PS2, it made the rest of my viewing day wonderful.
Exactly. That's a good synopsis of the game overall, and kind of how we'll break this down. We'll look at the first quarter, second quarter, so on and so forth. But interestingly, I don't think, there wasn't really a halftime in the normal sense. I think that PS2 pick 6 was more of the midpoint of the game than anything. We'll get to that here in a minute. But as always, here on the Postgame Podcast, we're going to rewind a bit and go back to the beginning of the game just before kickoff and kind of share our thoughts on what we were thinking, what we were hoping, what we were expecting, kind of as what Scott, you just alluded to. So if you want, I'll go ahead and start, man. We were talking about it a lot in the tailgate there. A lot of excitement. I think this was I cannot remember the last time, I was walking into a Raiders game feeling like, okay, we got this. And it wasn't so much the injuries that the Raiders had, but it's what we've seen from the Broncos and their potential, right? Going back to the Tampa Bay game, I mean, everything was clicking. Okay, this offense can do it. Yes, we saw the struggles in week 4 against the Jets, but again, coming away with a gritty win. And we can talk about what that does for a team in general, especially a young team that's growing and learning. But to see us go in there, the hope was to see us go in there and just light up the Raiders for so many reasons other than just the Raiders. The throwback jerseys, the whole environment was awesome. And yeah, there was really, I wouldn't say that I had high expectations in terms of like wanting to hit the 30s or 40s in points. I was thinking, hey, if we can get like 20 something, we should be fine. But again, just excited to see that defense. So I don't know, Scott, what were you thinking before we went into the game?
I tell you, like I said, I had a lot of confidence. I was kind of leaning towards a 27-10 score. The fact that Mad Max was kind of hobbled a little bit helped, and they just don't have any weapons other than Brock Bowers. And that being the case, I thought our defense would be just smothering from the get-go. Unfortunately, it took us a little while to get going, but that D right now is legit. And there's so many unknown players that the rest of the league don't really know about, and that's why they were looking down upon the Broncos. I think they're going to find out that we've done a pretty good job bringing in talent on the defensive side.
Yeah.
So
I know they've mentioned that before.
I was ready to go.
Yeah, no, I know they've mentioned that before. I think it was in the Jets game. Was the only number 1 pick we have starting on defense is PS2. The rest are a lot of no names. And this is why going into this season, I mean, everybody was low on this defense, not just the offense. Everybody was low on this defense as well. I mean, Jonathan Cooper, I mean, yeah, he's been okay, but he's been not great. Nick Bonito, yeah, he did, he has flashed, but not a big threat. Jonah Ellis, we're still waiting to see a little bit more from him, but I mean, how can he get much when people like Riley Moss, DJ Jones, PJ Locke, Zach Allen, I mean, they're all standing out too, right? So it's kind of like everyone's getting
a step forward. Yes.
Yeah. No, everyone is just making plays left and right. And so this is a nasty defense, dude. Nasty.
Yeah, for sure. And you got to give some props to Vance. And I was not in his corner. I was thinking the guy needs to go. And you know what? He's done a really good job ever since that 70-20 blowout.
Man, that game is gonna just live in Broncos infamy. We're never gonna be able to stop that. But you're right. I mean, look at the difference between last year and now. Exactly right. Exactly. Last year we wanted him gone. Part of it was we were pissed off at Sean Payton for bringing the guy back to Denver to begin with. We're pointing fingers at him too. And now here we are a year later, basically saying, hey, don't take any other head coaching positions. Not because we don't think you'll do well, just we don't want you to leave. Yeah. That's a huge turnaround in the course of a year. And if he can do this with this level talent on the defense, and they're all playing, I mean, he's getting the best out of every single one of his players. We get a couple big pieces inserted this over the next couple of years through free agency and stuff, and these guys get more developed. I mean, you're talking about a defense that is grown organically and has, team members that are just incredibly loyal to the team and are just going to play their heart outs every year.
And I tell you what, that is a key point because, I really thought it would be better last year. Right at the beginning, I thought, okay, we've got a coach. But, it became apparent that it's not all his players. They weren't all his players. And, it's nice. It's now he's brought in, he's changed it. He changed the culture by changing some of the players. And, there's been some key additions. Roach has sealed up that middle. And they're going to get tested this next week with San Diego because they do like to run the ball. This will be a good test.
Oh, and we'll talk about the Raiders with running the ball. Doug, I mean, completely good points. When Vance Joseph did make that change, kind of dropping that combination, his style plus the Fangio style, really trying to, see what can stay, working for the players. Thinking, hey, if I, do this mix of styles, the players will be able to adjust quicker and will be dominant quicker, right? And that just absolutely failed in every sort of way. So, I mean, good ability for him to stand and be like, yeah, that failed, and we're going to change things and to make changes that worked for the better, right? So yeah, it was a good learning experience for him. He was still a young coach, and I think it's paying off dividends. Now you did bring up the running game, and it's going to be interesting, right, to talk about the Chargers, because I think what the Raiders are doing, what were they doing with their run game? I mean, it was up the middle, up the middle, up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. And it's like every time we stuffed them,
Yeah. Yeah. The only running, I mean, you had, the runs were, I think they ended up 100 yards rushing, a little over 100 yards. I mean, it's crazy. And yeah, they were just like hitting their head against the wall on that. And, I'm all about, sticking to a plan, but holy moly, at some point you got to say, this ain't working.
Mm-mm. No, but there's one thing to stay, stick with the run game and hope, it'll work eventually, or it'll wear the other team down. But then there's being so consistent with the run game that you're not setting yourself up for success. There's no nothing to throw off the offense. If they just know that you're going to run up the middle every time and they're just plugging up the center, man, do something, get to the outside, make us spread out. But what were they thinking? This is where it's like, maybe this is why you don't allow the players to vote for your head coach is going to be. You know what I mean?
Right. I tell you what, the Raiders are the Raiders, and I don't know that. I don't know. You gotta give props a little bit to their fan base for their loyalty, but at some point, it maybe I don't know. I have conversations with these guys, and I admire their stick-to-itiveness, but in that regard, I think, why do you like this team? This time, there is no commitment to excellence. Hasn't been
words
for 30 years.
Yeah, used to be. They used to be fully before my lifetime.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, man. Yeah, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing, man. You're just you turn 21 a lot of times. That's all. First quarter comes by, man. This was not good. It's kind of put it bluntly and kind of just get through it quickly. Raiders just came out, marched the ball down the field. I mean, I don't know about you. I was happy when we won the coin toss and saw that we were deferring and the defense could go on the field first. I was like, man, we're going to get a 3 and out. Our offense is going to get the ball and we're going to get rolling, right? And, man, that did not happen. So what did you see from your angle?
Well, we being in the end zone, man, I saw that pass to Bowers, and I thought, Locke's going to intercept this thing, knock it down something. And he whiffed on that thing. It looked like Raheem Moore back there. That's right. That might be the best description I can use. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is crazy. And then they get that field goal, and they are shortly after that, they're moving back down there. We're doing nothing.
No, I think, we had one drive in the first quarter.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a drive.
No, was not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It was rough.
It's like, we talk about how consistent the defense has been the whole season, right? So for all the hype of the throwback jerseys, the Raiders game coming off a 2-game win streak on the road, I was not just disappointed. I was very scared to see how lackluster we came out. And I think it may not have been so much lackluster. I do see what the Raiders were doing on offense, which was very short, quick passes, screens, and those kinds of things to not allow our pass rush to get into the backfield. And that just caught us off guard.
I think made some plays too. With his legs, he made some plays on third down.
Yep, I remember that. It's like, dude, you got to watch him.
Because I think we had a couple times where it looked like we had him dead to rights, and he just squirted out, and off he went to the races.
Hey, and I don't know about you. So, me sitting there 10 and out, down 10-0, just kind of seeing, and then even so we got that one drive, which was just, we got a first down. So thankfully, but then when we picked it up, it was the end of the first, so 7 plays, in the first down. And I was just ready for a very long game. I was just sitting like, this is not going to be pretty today, man.
Yeah. Same. It was deja vu because we've lost, losing 4 years in a row to this team, a team that was just not good,
right,
with everybody else. I did not want another Bronco loss, that's for sure, against a lousy Raider team.
Well, it's like, and you're home, it's like, if we had lost both those road games, we'd be sitting here saying like, yeah, can we please beat the Raiders? But there was expectation here that you perform that well on the road, you'd better perform that well at home. And it just was not producing. I mean, then, thankfully that the second drive we had, which basically was the second quarter there, it wasn't bad. We had some penalties and stuff, but resulted in a field goal. So, still, it's just like I didn't feel any energy on that drive. I didn't feel like there was any connection, any flow. It was choppy. I mean, the run game was what saved us on that drive, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't feel like we had much of a plan ourselves, to be honest with you. And it was very stop and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It all changed though. And it changed at the most opportune time in that second quarter.
And this is exactly and this is where I think halftime was. I mean, you talk about a momentum shift in the game. Yeah, you felt it in the stadium. I mean, the energy just did a complete 180 because everybody around me, thankfully, only had a few Raiders fans, so not too many and not right next to me. So all Broncos fans next to me, and we were all just down. Everyone was talking bad. Everyone was like, "This is crap. This is not going well. Like, this is terrible. This is going to be a long day. Like, what is happening? Like, why did I pay for this? Why aren't they playing like this? Like they did against the Jets or the Buccaneers." And man, PS2 comes and saves the day, dude. 100 freaking yards. And the way he just picks that out of the air and gets going, man, nobody stood a chance. He was just, he just jogged the other 50 yards because he could.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he says he should have ran it out so he could try to break that 22-mile mark. Yeah, he kind of stopped running, was doing the old high step the last 30 yards, I think,
Basically, no one was even close to him. Now, I mean, there was the flag on the field, so I mean, I got a little scared there just because it's like, there's no way they are not going to do that to us, because that would have just been that would have probably ended the game. I think that would have taken like the life out of us. But that touchdown and PS2, go for it.
Old Broncos, it would have been against us, I think. I think we've got a new era starting, though.
That's exactly right, man. I mean, when we get a holding penalty on first down and it's 1st and 20, I'm just so used to, that's it. This drive is over. That's it. We're not getting a first down from here. And what we've seen this year and this game is, it doesn't matter. We're going to find a way to make it work. We're going to do our best. Now, there are still things I see, like us throwing, behind the chains or even behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 5. And it's like, why are we designing plays like that? Bo, you got to push your eyes down the field just a little bit more. I don't expect you to sit in there for the long bomb down the field, but you got to throw the chains, man. So look, that got life into everyone. So I don't know. Was it a little loud where you were sitting?
You know what? Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. The crowd seemed pretty into it. It definitely got louder after that. And, it's after that, it started to build. And I think, you could kind of feel the energy in the stadium was all orange and blue at that point. And then you go down, tie it up, and here's a team that had been moving, they'd been moving on us and doing all the right things, and suddenly they couldn't do anything.
No.
So I don't know. I liked the energy, and it's a lot easier to get loud when you start to win.
Well, and it's not just win, but it's win against the Raiders. And when you see the team get life in them the way they did, because it wasn't just, look, the defense had been out on the field for a long time. They've been out on the field for a long time at that point in the game, basically all of the first quarter. And
Yeah.
that entire long drive too, so they were tired. But what happened after that pick six? 3 and out, man. They immediately tightened up and said, enough's enough. We're done. Answered by another field goal. It was like not a touchdown or anything, but a field goal to tie it up. I mean, hey, now we got a ball game. Now everything has changed. Forget about the first quarter. Things are clicking. The defense is here, and the Raiders. It's like you guys need to be scared.
Yeah, I think that's what's exciting is they're only going to get better too. That D is just going to continue to grow, barring injuries. But we've had some big ones, and it's been Nick's man up, and the depth on the defense is showing that it was much better than what everybody was leading us to believe at the beginning of the season. It was like, we have good starters. We have great starters. We'll be able to compete. But once we start getting injuries, and it just hasn't happened.
No.
Well, the injuries.
Well, you think about who we're still missing. We'll talk about this one. Okay, we'll talk about injuries on the offense in a second, but this one's going to be interesting. I haven't thought about this in a while. Baron Browning, we're still missing him. But we're expecting him to come back before too long. I think he's short term, right?
Yeah. He'll be back.
Yeah, so he'll be back. We're missing Alex Singleton, but Justin Sternad has stepped into that role beautifully.
I have been so impressed with him.
Well, did you see who led the team in tackles this week?
Yeah, and he's stepped right into that role.
He did. You think back to what happened in the Jets game last week. First play of the game, who got that sack? It was freaking Justin Sternad. It's like, I miss Alex Singleton, but you're talking about next man up. There's the perfect example, textbook example of next man up.
And maybe next year they'll get both of them on the field at the same time. That'll be awesome. I think everybody thought when Jewel went away, we might have a problem, but
because tackling has been kind of an ongoing issue for the Broncos defense. It seems like it seemed like year in and year out, that was just one thing we were always talking about. But you're right. It seems like that's one thing that we've shored up a lot. And I thought once we lost Singleton, I'm like, is there going to be a tackling problem? No, we're good.
Yeah,
we got it.
Yeah,
but now here's
amazing.
Here's the conundrum, man. We got Riley Moss out there, and I think Broncos country has forgot about somebody. Mari Mathis is sitting over there on short-term IR. I think we were all just hoping. I know we were basically all just hoping at the beginning of the season that Riley Moss would just do well enough to not be a liability.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a problem for him.
No,
but the question is, what do we do with Damari Mathis at this point?
He may have Wally pipped himself right out of the team.
Trade bait? Honestly, trade bait? Because you don't bump Riley Moss down at this point.
No.
But Damari Mathis is too talented, I think, to be sitting on the second string. So if you're coming up on the trade deadline, I don't know what else you do with them. But Riley Moss has turned into this freaking beast. He's not great, but he's been doing just outstanding.
I love his attitude, man. That guy is, he's what a defensive back should be. He's cocky. Yeah. He may not be as good as he thinks he is, but no, you try to tell him that because it don't matter. He thinks he's Patrick Surtain.
He plays up to it though.
Yes.
I can't say anything. You're right. You're like, I agree with you, but you can't be like, oh, put your money where your mouth is or whatever. It's like, okay, and then he does it. And you're like, well, I can't. Okay, I guess if you walk the, if you talk the talk, you can, and you walk the walk, then whatever, do it.
Yep. He kind of has that swag like Talib. Mm-hmm. He has that Talib swag. Talib just didn't give two craps.
No.
You know, I'm going to,
Nope.
I'll hit you. I'll rip your chain off. I will just get
And
in your
I don't
face. And
care.
it's going to be a battle every single play.
And I'm gonna
And
love it.
you know
I'm gonna
what?
love it.
Then I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to run it the other way.
Yeah.
That's
And the
going to
way
come
he would,
from us. It will.
man, some of the best keep to leap interceptions and like the pick sixes are when he's like not even trying to protect the ball. He's basically like running and holding it out here. Like you can't get me. Yeah. He doesn't care. God, I miss that guy. But you talk about a feeling that reminds me of the no-fly zone. This is the closest we've come to it by.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a landslide. I mean, an insurmountable amount since the 2015 season. This could turn into something special. For real.
I think it's on its way. I think Jones is just going to keep getting more healthy, and he's been such a pleasant surprise. He was injured all of training camp, and I was like, ooh, he's going to be a bust, but he's stepped right in, and we got Skinner hanging in the wings, who is a big bodied safety, really tall and lean. They compare him to Steve Atwater, which is kind of an insult to Atwater, but body type and size, he's not as thick as Steve, but he's long, and he's learning. So it'd be nice if he could just continue to grow into his role.
Yeah. Well, he's learning on special teams. I mean, how many players have we seen come up through special teams? And he's well on his way. So, eventually, and not, knock on wood, there aren't any more injuries, right? But eventually his number is going to get called. And, he's just got to make the most of it when he does. But he has the potential to do it. And it's just going to be fun to watch. So, look, we're kind of getting into a position where we're not just seeing the main talent develop, but we're seeing these, second, third string kind of guys in the wings, like you're talking about, and saying like, maybe we have some real young, talented depth here. And that's something that we haven't had on this team again, since the Peyton Manning era.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and that's George Payton gets a little bit of a bad rap because he's screwed a lot of things up. But one thing he hasn't really screwed up is getting some talent later in the draft. And, and I think that is where you find so many hidden gems.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always those first round players.
Yep.
So,
well, and that's when you look into like the person's character, is this somebody that can continue to grow and develop, and we can coach that, but do they have the work ethic? Do they have the desire? Do they have that dedication to go through and do that? Do they have that leadership and hold themselves accountable to the point where they're able to do that? Right. And yeah, if you can find those type of guys, I mean, they make the best teammates. They push each other. They see each other improve. They cheer each other on. They call each other out when there's crap. But you look at teams like the Chiefs, and that's them. They all came up together, right? They all got drafted through the Chiefs, and they're one team. It's not an amalgamation of all these other things that we've been trying to do.
Yeah, I hate them because they are so good, and I think I root for their demise, but I can't argue with the fact that they are a really well coached team. They have some really solid players, and I am just really excited about knocking them right off of their throne.
If anyone can do it,
maybe not this year, but I think next year they might. I think it's going to be a battle like it used to be.
Yep. We're getting close, man. We're getting close to being there. Okay, so let's see. It was basically halftime at this point, man. Broncos are up 13-10. I don't know about you. My thought at this point was, how the hell are we in the lead? Like, how?
Right?
This is so
Yes.
wrong.
Yes, we've always been on the other end of that, where we've just played better than the other team, and we're like, how are we losing by 3 or 6 points?
Yep.
How in the world is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a
You know,
nice feeling to go in at halftime and get a little shade and just recoup a little bit and then get out there knowing you're coming out with the lead. At that point, I didn't think the Raiders had a chance of even making it close. I really was confident at that point.
I didn't. So that was the one good thing. You're right. I knew, I could tell the defense good to go at this point. I'm not concerned about them. But the concern was the offense. The concern was and I think it was like, if the defense just gives up one more touchdown, that might be it. That might be all it takes, and so it's not like the defense has to do anything terrible. They just have to have maybe one bad drive, one bad play with one bad coverage that lets loose for a 60-yard touchdown pass, and that could be it. So I'm sitting here just I'm sweating at halftime because of that. Yes, we're up, but can we get a touchdown in the second half? I don't know. And I'll tell you what, when it came out,
because I'm a fat man. I sweat all the time. I wasn't worried about the game though.
we were just getting in the shade at this point, so I was starting to cool off. But look, come out of halftime, and we get the ball first, but we didn't have it for long, did we? Freaking 3 and out, man. -3 yards.
That is our MO on third quarter. You come out at halftime, it's like, I don't even know. It's almost like we game plan it that way.
Right. We want to make them think it's a chess move.
I kind of think I really do like what we did in Tampa and not defer and take the ball. But that's just me. That's just me.
I think that was part of the plan to throw them off early. I don't know if we could pull that off again. But you know what? Look, it may be worth it if our trend is we just go 3 and out after halftime. Why get the ball right after halftime?
I just say we try to lose the coin flip. Take it out of our hands.
Call heads or tails, middle, side. I don't think
whatever they call, they get it. Even if they call heads and it's a tails, that just let them choose.
Didn't you say heads? No, I said tails. I definitely said tails. Don't go back and listen. Just I said the opposite. But I was thankfully very quickly, relieved. Not only because the defense did their job, another 6 plays and out, but Broncos freaking touchdown. I mean, this was a great. First off, it started off with a fantastic punt return.
Yes,
38-yard to the 50-yard line. So immediately you're like, well, we got to get a field goal out of this. But what a punt return, man. I mean, freaking Marvin Mims coming in clutch on special teams yesterday.
Yeah. I hope they can figure out a way to get him more involved in the normal offense. I mean, we haven't seen anything since Washington last year. That game, I remember, it's like those long passes, and I was like, this is why we drafted this guy. This is our plan. And then the guy never saw he became the invisible man.
He did. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to pick on him specifically when looking at the other stats here. I mean, Javonte Williams was our leading receiver by a lot. I mean, it was crazy to see what they were able to do.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a much better receiver than people think.
oh
I
yeah,
think a lot of people think that Devontae Williams is just a tackle breaking machine. He's got good hands. He really
he does.
does. And you know, it's a shame he had his knee destroyed by Mad Max a few years ago, because I think it robbed him of so much. That
It
and the
did.
fact that Fangio was too dumb to use him. We wanted to keep rolling out Gordon as he
Yep.
was rolling out the ball to the other team.
Oh, Fangio, that was a mess.
But
No,
I'm
you're
not
right.
bitter.
Javonte Williams, 5 receptions for 50 yards on 6
Yeah.
targets. I mean,
Yep.
freaking beautiful. If we could get that from the other wide receivers, I mean, that'd be great. What we got here? I mean, yeah, there are a lot more single receptions. I guess they spread the ball out pretty well.
It
Cortland
was a
Sutton,
record.
yeah, there's some. Yeah, there
11,
was.
11 different receivers. That was the first. They broke a record yesterday.
Mm-hmm. It was refreshing to see.
Yes.
Josh Reynolds with the passing touchdown. Sorry. That was a huge catch. I mean,
Yep.
talk about the feeling Bo Nix had to have after that, man.
Yeah. Well, is Troy Franklin ever going to do anything? I mean, he had such an opportunity. I thought we had a touchdown. I know where you were sitting, and you saw
I
that
saw
pass.
that ball pop out.
That pass was catchable, and that pass should have been a touchdown. I thought we had it.
Yeah.
It was not overthrown, and if it was, it wasn't by much. I thought
so for Bo to say that, yeah, he had to chase it down, like, no, not really, maybe a little bit, but for an NFL wide receiver, 100% should have been catchable, because not only did he make it to the ball, which means it was within range of the receiver. Like, good job, Bo, for putting it down the field that far. In the guy's hands. You got to reel that in, man. You got to reel that in. I cannot believe he dropped that. And that's where it's like, why are we not playing Vele?
I was just going to say that. Vele should be healthy now. He had some ribs. And, I don't know. I mean, the first game, what do you have? 8 receptions on 9 targets? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah,
seems like that would be the way to go. And I don't know. Maybe we're saving him as a secret weapon. I mean, they finally said enough is enough with Dulcich.
Yeah.
I was kind of predicting him to have a great game, and then he's like a healthy scratch. That one just blew my mind.
Well, and Kroll, I mean, he had the 1 reception for 5 yards, but kind of more of an impact that Dulcich has had
when it's thrown to him. I mean, Dulcich's been dropping it when he does have some open looks, and then he's just not getting open. Yeah,
exactly. So it's good to see that we made that change. So it's like, then why don't we put in Vele? Is he a healthy scratch? And if so, why? Because look, at this point, I'm not sitting here saying Troy Franklin is a bust. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying where he's at right now, he has no business being on the game day field. Period, at the end. He has a lot of work to do. Can he get there? 100%. Keep him. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying cut him. But if we're going to try to develop talent, that you're holding back Vele way more than you're doing any good for Troy Franklin.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I have not. I was shocked that they brought him up and kept him up when they did. So it's I don't understand why the rest of the league has figured out how to use tight ends, and we year in and year out can't figure it out. I would have kept Albert O. At least the guy can catch the ball. He doesn't block, but if you're a non-blocking tight end, you better darn well catch the ball when it's thrown to you and get open.
Yeah.
mean, look what they're doing in Kansas City. I've got the Kansas City game on, and every the throwing to Kelsey, he's always open. I don't even understand
Don't even
how.
get me started. No, it doesn't even look like he's moving that fast. I don't know if that's just because he's such a big guy. Like, you look at really big airplanes and you're like, they don't look like they're moving that fast. How are they flying? But they're so big that they're moving. They are moving that fast. They just don't seem like it's optical illusion. So I don't know if Travis Kelce is just a freaking optical illusion, but it's like, he does not look like he's running that fast. How can nobody in the NFL keep up with him? And it's not like he's running these crazy elaborate routes and he's like ankle breaking. Like, he'll just, I get it. Like, he'll get the person to bite, but then the way he fades out or rolls out, he just creates so much space
to get to the open spot. And I thought Dolce was going to do that, but I don't know if he's been playing scared because he's been injured so often. But heck, he was he made almost as many catches last year when he didn't play.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Look,
I say, let's figure out some plays and get Kroll a little more work. At least we know what we got with him.
Well, and that's cool. Being in a development year like this, we're seeing a lot of, let's see if this works. Let's see if that works. Let's try this for a little bit. And so, we got Kroll out there. He was 1 for 1. Hey, he had his one chance and he caught it. He secured it. He got the 5 yards. They'll have to look and see how he did in blocking and stuff. But hey, Lucas Kroll knows, hey, this is my chance. This is it.
Yeah.
I got to give them an excuse to keep Dulcich on the bench. And this is where you could see some of that really just, some of the passion that comes from these players when they just know that, hey, I have a chance to actually do it, go out there and make a name for myself. I think somebody early on in the season was like, it's almost like a NCAA mentality, like just that dog mentality these players have. And it almost feels like that, man. It's like everyone's trying to prove themselves all the time.
Well, and the fact that it's his second year with this team, and there's a lot of opportunity for people that maybe didn't get the opportunity before, and I wasn't that concerned when we got rid of Simmons. I thought, we weren't good with him. How much worse could we be without him? I didn't think it was going to be that bad. And Judy, I never liked him. I didn't like the pick when he did it. I didn't like anything I ever saw of him. And the more the guy got on social media, the less I liked.
Yep. And now he's Cleveland's problem.
Being old school, I just think that I like the players that are about their teammates, and that's not what Judy was.
No, definitely not. And I get wide receivers tend to be divas,
Sure.
Look, you don't believe me? We'll go watch that Netflix show, Receivers. Like that is what they are. Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, come on, you can't get more textbook diva than him. Sorry, dude. It is what it is. Which, by the way, Scott, if you didn't know, like everybody in the NFL listens to us, so no pressure or anything like that. Something like that. But those players can be toxic on the team,
That's what I think.
And he was. I think that's what he was. 100%.
Yeah. This locker, it seems like this locker room and this team has a tightness that has been lacking for many years, probably since 2015, maybe 2016, but that started to splinter in 2000 when they got rid of TJ Ward. It started the splintering, and then
how they got rid of TJ Ward.
Yeah, then it became us against each other. The defense didn't like the fact that they were carrying all the weight and the offense was terrible. And, it just became a divided mess. especially once Kubiak, who was able to kind of manage that a little bit that following year, and at least keep us close until he announced to him on the day before Christmas that he wasn't going to be this was his last year. And you know what? That was a team that looked like they didn't want to be there.
That's it.
They gave up that game.
Yeah.
And that, and that's when we found out that Kubiak wasn't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, and then we haven't had strong leadership at the coach position for a while.
Well, dude, coach position, general manager, front office in general, the Pat Bowlen Trust was a total failure. There's been no leadership across the board. I always liken it to you have a really large multi-billion-dollar company that's being run entirely by a room of middle managers.
Yep.
And how's that going to work out? It's going to fail epically. And that is what happened with this team.
Yeah, it was it was a dark episode in our history, and we can finally see some light. Yeah, the Pinners seem like they got it together. They are committed, and they're committed to doing whatever is needed and give the team whatever they need to be successful. And I don't know. I'm probably one of the minority. I like Sean Payton. I like that old school. He reminds me of, that's the way Mike Shanahan was. People called him the little general. Well, I just called him a great coach because, you know what? It didn't matter. And he didn't get along with a lot of his players. But those types of players that weren't with him, they weren't with him very long because he shipped them out.
You're not going to buy into the system, then
you bring in somebody like Carter from Kansas City, and you get that cancer, and he cut that out as quickly as he could.
Exactly. That's being a leader. That's being a coach. Coach isn't there to be your friend. Coach is there to be your coach. And I think I don't know why people are so quick to just be against Sean Payton. This is his second season. We're on the 6th week into the second season. Last year was last year. It was just, we're still figuring out a lot of things. This team is still just in such disarray from the mess it was left in, from all the managers and everything, and the mess that was before. Right. So I don't know, man, like you got to give him time. There are some questionable things. There were some questionable challenges against the Jets. There are some timeout things. There are some this and that and play calls. But it seems like people are just nitpicking every little. It's almost like the freaking color of the shirt he wears. It's like, why would he do that? That's not something an NFL coach would do. The Broncos suck because of
dude, talk about how big his play sheet is that he's looking at, and then he's got to wear his glasses to look at it. I mean, come on, man.
Like, give the guy a break, But same thing for Bo. I don't know what's your take on, people saying Bo's washed up, man.
I like Bo. I really do. I loved the fact that he and Sean got into it. That he got into it with Peyton on the sidelines, and I've seen a video of Peyton getting into it with Wilson, and Wilson just standing there taking it. Let's ride. But Bo is the aggressor in this conversation. I don't know what they were arguing about or what they were having heated discussions, but I love that fire. I love it. Yeah. And you know what? His team loves it. And by contrast, I think Sean Payton loves it. He loves the fact that this kid is willing to push back.
Right. It shows leadership. It shows that they have a relationship building. There was no relationship between Wilson and Sean Payton. So when Sean Payton starts,
it just wasn't good.
Oh, well, it was a bad one. Okay, there was no good relationship. So when Sean Payton starts yelling, it's resigned, hands on the hips, like, okay.
Yep.
whatever, But yeah, Bo Nix has, feels like he can go to the head coach and say whatever it was, whether it was the call that the play that you called was crap, like mine would have worked. Like, what are you doing? They're talking, and when you fight like that, there's energy behind it. They resolve their differences, they learn from each other, and they move forward. And so you're seeing a head coach and a quarterback really progress from day one, just progress together and learn together. And this is new for Sean Payton too.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Bo is the son of a coach, I'm sure that's exactly where he gets a little bit of that spunk. That's what he did with his dad,
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I like the energy. I saw a lot of people are maybe upset about it, or there's just a lot of commentary today about it, but you're exactly right. And this is a team that's just going to continue to get better. And what I just keep saying is this is a team right now. I can't say that they can beat anybody, but they can hang with any team in the league right now.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I do not expect any blowouts.
I saw somebody talking about the 49ers being garbage, that they're done. I don't think they're out of it yet. I think they've got some. I mean, obviously, not having McCaffrey is hurting them.
It is.
But I've been a little surprised at their start.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. There's been a lot of teams with interesting starts. The Bengals,
Cardinals.
That's not a start. Like the Cardinals, Jacksonville. I don't think anybody expect Jacksonville to start the way they did.
How about our boy Rodgers dropping another one yesterday?
I mean, it's like the Broncos caused them to implode.
I'm sure he and Hackett just, I don't know,
get along so well.
They're okay with it.
They cuddle at night.
Buddies.
in Rodgers' healing tent.
Sightseeing because they were in London yesterday, right?
I think so.
Maybe they could go see Big Ben.
Yeah. Resolve their differences. Come to Jesus meeting. Paula, how you doing? Good to see you here. We are getting to the end of the show, guys. So before we start wrapping up with last couple thoughts and some closing comments here, please remember to follow us on all of our social media accounts, YouTube and Facebook and the Instagrams and the TikToks and wherever, things are posted nowadays, we're there. So just search up Bourbon Broncos and OBS. Give us a follow. Definitely appreciate us a ton. Make sure you like and comment for the algorithm. Helps us out even more than any donations or anything like that. You guys just sharing the video means a lot to us. So appreciate you guys tuning in and doing that. Also check out this podcast if you're listening to it, obviously on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, wherever you listen to your podcast. We also got our pregame podcast as well. Don't forget every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time is Bourbon, Broncos, and OBS, our flagship show. 1 hour of just pure Broncos talk, reviewing the previous week's game and starting the conversation of the upcoming week's game. Followed by just more live content on Sundays or on game days. 1 hour before kickoff, we got our live tailgate pregame talk, as well as the original live halftime show, the halftime hash here at Bourbon Broncos and OBS. So make sure you follow us so you can see when we go live for that. Man, Scott, we are going into week 6. This is weird, man. I don't get it.
I'm excited. It was started slow, but man, it's some exciting time. I mean, you look at the road ahead, the next 3 games, so winnable. Every one of those are very winnable games. I mean, we can come out of this at 6-2. Right? Are we 3-2?
I think we might literally break the NFL if something like that happened. Even if we go 5 I mean, we might literally break the NFL. Because people still aren't paying attention to us. They're just like, teams lost to the Broncos. It's like, hey, we're like beating good teams. Maybe you should start looking at us now.
Yeah, I think you got to look at who we lost to too. I mean, Pittsburgh seems to be Pittsburgh. They don't ever they just
It's
don't ever fall off. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and then the Seahawks have looked pretty good for the most part.
Yep.
Yesterday, notwithstanding, I mean they're kind of coming back to earth. But they started out. I think we gave them all that they could handle.
Yeah, yeah, but you play in Lumen Field out there in Seattle in week 1. I don't think that's something that any team wants to do.
No,
like that's just
that's
kind of
tough out.
You talk about an uphill battle. Any team, even Kansas City, would struggle in that environment in week 1.
And that's what we got to start bringing back to Mile High. There was a time, I could look at the schedule. I said, well, we got eight wins because we're going to win. We're not going to lose at home. We may suck on the road. We may go 0-8, but we got 8 wins at home. And it just that's the way it was. You just didn't lose at home. And there was a energy, and it was predominantly orange the whole day. And boy, I want those days to come back. It's it can. We just people that have nothing to do on a Sunday, come down to the stadium, whether you got tickets or not, hang out, feel that energy, and then go to the bar and watch a game. Because I'll tell you what, you'll be fired up. You will be fired up. Sure. You come down and hang out with us, you'll be fired up.
Exactly. So for anybody listening, if you do go to any Broncos games and want to find us, it's Scott, would you say it's easy to find where we tailgate in Lot C?
Yeah, it seems to be pretty noticeable.
Would you tell us why?
Well, there's this crazy man that has developed a sickness to put up flags. And it's every year he says, okay, enough's enough. And then, this year, we're going to be flying 110 flags by the end of the year.
That's crazy.
It'll be over 110.
Absolutely crazy.
I mean, yesterday we didn't even have, we were missing almost half of our bases, and we still were at almost 70 flags. So it's a sight to be seen, and it it'll fire you up. It will fire you up. It's a beautiful scene when the wind is blowing just right.
And just the people and the food. Anybody who's going to a Broncos game, and I'd say we're even friendly to opposing fans as well. So if you want to come by and say hi.
You can't have a game without those. Can't have a game without a opposing team and their fans. They go with it. Most of them are good people. I mean, they really are. They just love their team. And if I was born in Oakland, thank God I'm not. Maybe I'd be an Oakland Raider fan.
Don't say that.
I doubt
you.
No. Well, maybe if I was dropped on my head a little more than I already was.
That would have done it for sure. Yeah. And
that would do it.
Okay, we're into some closing thoughts time, Scott. So, just kind of what are your takeaways from this game? What did you like? What did you not like? And just kind of wrap it up, bud.
It's growth. I see the growth of the offense and Bo Nix and the developing relationship between the coach and him and the rest of the team. I'm super optimistic. I really am. The defense just is going to get better and better. I think we just got to guard against more injuries, but I'm excited. And, I think playoffs will be getting talked about here in the next 4 weeks. So
you're completely right, because I've already heard at least a couple people bring up the P word, the dreaded P word. But I think it's starting to be rightfully so, because this is a team that we've seen are not winning these games by flukes. They're winning these games through grit. Even the first 2 games they lost, they were gritty. They were ugly, but they were gritty. This defense is real. This offense is showing that when they click, they're dangerous. When they get that run game going, they're dangerous. This is a team that can beat anybody. This isn't a team that's just going to lie around. And so the fact that they're winning these games through grit, man, they are coming together stronger every game as well. Because they're getting that positive reinforcement of the win behind it.
It's contagious.
It is. And the morale just skyrockets after each one. I mean, how many years? How many years have we talked about? Yeah, the Broncos lost 10 games, but 7 of those games we lost only by 1 possession, and out of those 7, 5 of them we only lost by 3 points or less, and it's like, so they've been gritty and they've been trying to fight, but they haven't seen anything for it.
No.
And
hey, one more thing. I want you, write this down. I'm telling you, we're going to start seeing some RPO coming out of that offense. And when that happens, and you get Bo moving a little more, I think we'll have something there. RPO.
No, you have the start of the run game.
Pass option.
Run pass only. What?
Option.
Only dude, run these pass guys only. Are run pass only. Wait, what? These guys are coming together and they're learning to fight for each other, even when things are bad. They're learning how to stay strong and stay consistent when things are good, when they're up by a lot. They're learning how to stay gritty and fight to the very end in those very close, rainy, just disgusting games. They're learning how to come back when they're behind, like they were 10-0. They could have easily just been like, well, this is crap, right? But they didn't. So they're doing the work and it's paying off. And so they're buying into the system. They're moving forward. They're listening to the coaches. They're doing the things they're supposed to do. And things are starting to come together. And when that happens, you can't help but just say, like, we're finally on the right track, guys. Will playoffs happen this year? I don't know. Are there going to be bad games? I'm sure there's going to be bad games. There's going to be at least one game this year where the defense just has a bad week because the defense, they're all human. Okay. Or something crazy just happens. Yeah. They're not our defense. Rawr. But this is the closest we've been since the Peyton Manning years. And if not this year, then we're going to be going into this offseason talking about not just are we a playoff team, but how deep of a playoff team could we go or could we be with this defense?
Well,
so I don't know, guys.
And that cap money will be available next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of it. You get a team now that's young and talented, and you show that this quarterback that you drafted is progressing and learning, and there is a bright future here. So you've done all the hard work when you didn't have those big name talented stars. Now you can say, hey, number one free agent out there, why don't you come on over to Denver? We'll pay you well, and you can be part of this team that's going to, could make some really good playoff and Super Bowl run multiple years in a row. I mean, that's how you recruit big name talent. And the Broncos are doing everything right in that category. So as long as they keep drafting well, as in addition to all that, thank you. This is what we've been saying and crying out for years.
Wouldn't that be a nice position to be in?
I like D-Rock. I'm going to use this right here. Henceforth, the Denver defense will be known as Super Max. 23-hour lockdown. That 1 hour a day is for showers only. Don't want to know what happens there. Let's see. Broncos blend from Breckenridge Distillery. Yes, make sure you check that out. Freaking delicious. Great on game day. Breckenridge Distillery always has a little trailer there at the tailgate as well. So you guys can make sure you check that out if you wanted to taste a little bit before you bought some, but definitely recommend it.
Come up to the Flagman's Bar. I got plenty.
Got plenty. Can't. It's the Broncos tailgate. You got to have some.
Yes.
Well, Scott, seriously, thank you very much for joining me today. 3 weeks in a row again, man. 3 wins. Broncos have a winning record after starting 0-2. This is not a position that anybody really thought we'd be in, especially when I'd say about 30% of the pundits out there thought the Broncos would get 3 wins this season. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, I am happy, and pretty soon my pocketbook will be happy.
Yeah. I love it. I hope so, man. I hope so. Well, Scott, thank you very much once again. Everyone who's tuning in and listening, thank you very much. Check us out Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, like I said, for Bourbon, Broncos, and OBS. Check out the pregame podcast as well. Tons of Broncos content coming your way for the rest of the season and beyond. Guys, we are here for you. Bourbon, Broncos, and OBS, giving it our best shot. Scott, first time on the show, so I don't expect you to know this. I should have warned you beforehand, but next time I expect you to remember, because the only thing I need you to know is the last thing at Bourbon Broncos and OBS. Last thing we say, as always, we ended on a very strong Go Broncos. Take care, everyone. Go Broncos.
Let's go, Broncos.
Do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go. Yeah, they know